Hey, what's going on? I'm Keith here from Sports Vibes TV, and I'm joined today by my guy Imp. Imp, how's everything with you?
It's good, chilling. Listen, it's a good Knicks day. We just came off of a win. We always in a good mood after a Knick win.
Facts, facts. Especially when we got our guy RJ going off for 30. And also today, gonna be talking about a major trade. So the New York Knicks went out and we acquired Cam Reddish in a deal with the Atlanta Hawks, which is shocking to some, seeing that the Knicks and the Hawks have started a little bit of a on-court rivalry. But Cam Reddish is a solid young wing that can come in and allow us to move RJ Barrett back to the two, which I believe is his more natural position. And it really, I think, helps answer one of the major holes on this roster. And that was a wing defender with length that can also knock down the three. Cam Reddish fits that profile. So, Imp, let me know how you feel about the trade since you heard it. Did I break the news to you, or did you hear elsewhere?
Nah, you're the first one who told me. As far as I'm aware, like it was in talks, and then next thing I know, we talking about it, like, oh, like what we gonna do, who we gonna move, and then you're like, oh no, it was already done. We gave him knocks. I'm like, what? Yo, son. At first, I'll salute to everyone in the chat. Salute.
Facts.
But nah, I'm happy about the trade, man. We've been talking about Knox for Cam Reddish trade since last season,
Hmm.
so better late than never. And I'm glad. I'm just glad it all works out because I mean, this season was either re-sign Kevin Knox or let him go for nothing. So instead, we got a valuable young player, 3 and D. It just works for us.
Yeah. Honestly, we were talking about it last season. We talked about it during the draft, and a lot of people were saying there's no way the Hawks would make this deal. They're trying to get rid of players that play out there on the wing in order to condense and maybe get some more, maybe another point guard to back up Trey, maybe another big to come off the bench behind Clint. And apparently they said, hey, we need this first round pick more or more than we really care about trying to get rid of some of these wing players. So we gave them the first round pick, which is heavily protected, might I add. And I'm extremely happy about this deal. I think Cam is the prototypical three that we need on this team. Now, the next move we have to make is look for either a point guard, which I think is the top of the list in terms of priority, and it's going to be a stretch five. But let's give a few shout outs to the people in chat. We've got
Mhm.
Rapper Stones. He's saying maybe now Fournier can come off the bench. Yep, we'll get into that as well because with the addition of Cam Reddish, the rotations are going to be affected, are going to be affected greatly.
Or at least we hope. We hope.
Yeah, I mean, if we're giving up a first round pick, you better hope Cam Reddish is getting some minutes. I know we're going to talk about how protected that first is, but first round picks do still hold value in this league. So regardless of where they fall, so we're moving on from Knox, which isn't really a big hit, but that first could have been used in a package for another big ticket player elsewhere. So hopefully Cam is going to come to this team and get some solid minutes and
Mhm.
play with his former college teammate RJ Barrett. Big Task is saying big salute, Keith. Let's get it. Roberto Mendez is saying what's good, fellas. Knicks all day, baby. Also, there was a
Yeah.
little bit of confusion with this trade too, because at first they said it was. I only heard it was just going to be Cam Reddish, Knox in the first, and then maybe about 20 or 30 minutes after that, they included Solomon Hill and yeah, they included Solomon Hill and a second round pick from the Nets. But I saw elsewhere too, they said the Detroit Pistons. But ESPN has it as just Cam Reddish, Solomon Hill, and a 2025 second round pick.
No, yeah, I mean, and with Solomon Hill, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna keep him. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
that might have just been a money dump for them.
most likely. We'll probably flip him. Like I said, I think we're gonna have additional moves. It just remains to be seen what we're gonna do. Because remember that we still have talks about us, trying to go out and get a Miles Turner. You would assume the Jeremy Grant trade now is off the table because I looked at that deal as the Knicks trying to bring him in and try to put him at the three. So now with Cam Reddish, we have a young piece who's not a perfect player. If he was a star player or a player that the Hawks viewed as a star, it would have cost a lot more. So, yes, he is a talented player, but it's going to take some time, I think, for him to continue to develop. And that's another reason I hope he starts because he's going to need minutes out there on the court. He was behind a lot of players on the Atlanta Hawks. And now, hopefully, he'll be able to get the opportunity to go out there and get some quality minutes. Hopefully, 28, to 30 minutes a game. You would hope.
I mean, if he could play the same kind of defense he was playing on the Hawks, I'm sure he's going to get minutes because Tibbs, he likes defensive-minded players, and clearly just based off his style of play defensively, he's much better than Fournier. So you would hope that some of Fournier's minutes goes to Cam, but that I mean that's for Tibbs to decide.
Hmm. Yeah, he's had an up and down season so far. He is averaging a career high in 3 point percentage. I said it in my video earlier, 38% from three. Field goal percentage is a career high, but it's only 40%, so he needs to work on that as well. And he's averaging a career high at 12 points per game.
That's decent. I mean, that's more than 5 points per game.
Also, we were talking about some, I won't say issues, but there were some things that weren't too clear with the deal earlier. This was the original tweet that I had sent you saying that Grimes might have been in the deal, but it looks like the Knicks decided not to trade or not to include him in the trade. Are you excited that we were able to make this deal and still keep Quentin Grimes on the roster?
Oh yeah, no, honestly, that would have got me tight if we would have lost him because I'm just like, yo, anytime we give this kid minutes, he's just out there knocking down shots. Like, and this is his first season. He's a rookie with a crazy jump shot. Like, why would we give this up? So I'm glad that there were some New York Knicks decision makers who were opposed.
Yeah, I like the fact that Quentin Grimes is fearless out there when it comes to putting up a shot. Yeah, sometimes he might take a questionable one here and there, but it doesn't shake his confidence. He's
Mm-mm.
getting it, he's getting the rock and he's putting up the shot with lightning quick reflexes. And you love to see that. The fact that he's also one of the gritty defenders out there on the court. I would love to see Grimes out there on the court with Cam when Cam is fully committed to locking in on defense under a coach like Tibbs, and we still have Deuce. We didn't have to give Deuce up in a trade like this. So to see us or to envision a rotation where we have Deuce, Grimes, and Cam all out there on the court at the same time, I think that is going to be giving opposing teams wing players or perimeter players nightmares.
Nah, I agree. One thing about this trade that now everyone's talking about is Zion, like because obviously RJ, Cam, and look. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I'm at the point where like I would prefer to stay as far away from Zion as possible. I mean, he's been in the league what 3 years now. He's played like 10 games. Uh, Listen, man, I don't need a obviously max contract player to barely play.
Yeah,
Uh, mm-mm.
I agree with you there, and I think you fall on the side of reason. The only way I would be able to open up to a Zion Williamson deal in any capacity is after he returns to the court. We see him play, we see him stay in shape, and we can say, all right, we've seen enough of a sample size that we can invest in giving up the type of assets it would take to bring in a Zion Williamson. But to try and discuss a Zion Williamson trade when he just had a setback in his recovery from a Jones fracture, to me, I think that's setting yourself up for failure, especially when we're starting to see players like, RJ begin to blossom and things like that. You don't want to make a major deal for a Zion, which is going to gut a lot of this roster. Even though we have a deep roster right now, when you look at it from 1 to 15, it would still cost us to gut the roster to bring in a player like Zion. And he was drafted in the same draft class as RJ and Cam. So he's going to be up for an extension as well. And you mentioned it, to go out there and try to commit a long term deal to Zion after he's dealt with all these injuries, I think that's very risky. Even with Cam, Cam has dealt with some injuries. Last year, he had dealt with the Achilles injury that caused him to miss some time. He also, I think, he's dealing with an ankle injury this season and has taken him off the court for periods. So there's some risk involved with Cam. Like I said at the beginning, if there was no risk involved, it would have cost us a lot more. But with Cam, it's a low risk, high reward move, if you ask me. You said it at the beginning. We might have lost Knox for anything. At least now we can bring Cam into the building, get a little bit more time to see him, see how he fits with this team, and then make a decision.
No, exactly. I mean, we would have let Knox walk, and I mean, it's not like Knox was playing anyway. Like he had some games that he played only because of obviously the COVID situation, but other than that, chances are he would have been bench warming this season either. So even if Cam ends up not working out, it's still not a big loss.
So how do you see the rotations going with Cam coming onto the team now? You think Cam automatically gets inserted into the starting lineup? Do you think we wait a few games before we insert Cam? And if we do insert Cam into the starting lineup, who would be the casualty?
I mean, I think they're not gonna put him to start right away simply because the money that we're paying Fournier. But if he comes out 2-3 games and he's clearly outplaying Fournier, especially defensively, then I feel like Fournier is going to be the one that has to come off the bench. Honestly, then I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being the case, that the Knicks look to actually move Fournier.
Yeah, I think with the addition of Cam Reddish, this makes a lot of players on this team expendable. You look at Alec Burks; he's a player that it seems like we get calls on around the trade deadline. He might be someone that we can move now if we feel we get a pretty good enough offer with the addition of Cam. Evan Fournier, he's a player that has been inconsistent. So if we can move that contract now that we have Cam Reddish, I'm all for it. It would
Yep.
probably take a bigger move because of how much Evan is being paid. So that would probably bring in like a larger contracted player like a Miles Turner. So if we were trying to go and get the stretch five, we can use Evan Fournier's contract to kind of match salary. But Evan's been killing recently. I got to give him that. He still hasn't been great defensively. There was a play against the Mavericks where Jalen Brunson kind of blew right past him. Luckily, Nerlens Noel, he returned. He was back for that game, and he showed his value. He got a block, helped with the defense there, and hopefully teams around the league see that they'll give us some calls for Nerlens as well. So it'll be interesting to see what Tibbs decides to do. But I would like to see Cam enter the starting lineup as soon as possible. It
Same.
might be a reach to see if he starts against the Hawks. It would be a good story. First game starting against the Hawks on Saturday. Maybe if we're going to the game Monday to
Yeah.
see the Hornets, so maybe he'll start there. You never know.
I mean, I hope that's what I'm hoping for. Like, I hope he gets to start. Even if he doesn't start, I hope he comes in, like, after the first 2 minutes of the first quarter and like plays the rest. Like, I hope it's something like that where he clearly gets a bulk of the minutes.
Where
But
he's proven it to Tibbs, and Tibbs is allowing him to stay out there.
yeah. So I really hope he goes off against. First of all, I hope he plays against the Hawks because like
Yeah.
sometimes whenever there's a trade, chances are they don't play the first game; they'll play like the second or whatever the case may be to make sure everything clears. But
hmm
regardless,
And I think
hopefully,
he's still dealing with an ankle injury too. So hopefully, I think he'll be available as well. Let's jump in the chat, see what's going on. Hey, we got our guy George in the chat. He's saying, "What's up, dudes? Big day for Knicks. Get those likes up for our boys.
Mhm.
Appreciate the support, George. Also, when we finish with the stream, make sure you head over to Into the Knicks verse. He dropped a video as well discussing the trade. So make sure you guys support him. Let's see. Crispy Gamers is saying, is Evan an attractive trade target for the Kings in any package though? I'm
Not
not sure. I don't know. It's hard for me to argue that Evan is an attractive trade target with the way he's been playing to start the season. Hopefully, he'll be able to up his trade value because he's been playing better in recent days. But it's hard to look at Evan right now and say he's an attractive trade piece.
I mean, I think it depends on the team because his style, like what he needs, is to not be the first, second, or third option on a team. He needs to be someone who could basically just catch and shoot. So if he was on a different team, he'd probably flourish. Like on a team that clearly the focus point is somewhere else and not Fournier. So I mean, maybe, but I feel like the Knicks we have a ton of attractive pieces right now that are on reasonable contracts, including Kemba. I feel like after Kemba's last couple of games, like teams are going to reach out about him.
Yeah, well, you got to get back on the court first. Dealing with the knee injury, that's kind of sucked and tanked his trade value. I think at the moment, but hopefully when he comes back, he'll be able to showcase some of that magic he showed after he got inserted back into the starting lineup. So I agree with you. I think Kimba can be an attractive piece for a team that's contending. I just don't know if it'll be as a starting point guard. I think coming off the bench, limited, controlled minutes is where Kimba will be able to feast.
No, yeah, I mean,
See
I
what
feel like
else we
whatever
got.
team goes for him, it's going to be a team that needs like a legitimate point guard to come off the bench strictly for playoff time. Like I could
Right.
see the Nuggets reaching out to us to get Kemba, just in case Jamal Murray takes longer than expected or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Well, they got Facu. Facu's been holding it down in Jamal Murray's absence. So we'll see. Did you hear about the Nuggets and Bobo? They
Yeah,
tried to do a trade for Rodney McGruder, and that got vetoed. So let's keep our fingers crossed on this one and hope
they
the
beat on
NBA
that.
doesn't meddle. Well, they didn't veto it. I apologize. They didn't approve of the medical records. He didn't pass the physical.
Who, Bobo?
Yeah, Bobo,
Oh,
which is interesting. Like, what caused him to fail that physical? I know a lot of people in the chat wanted us to inquire about Bobo, and he's an interesting prospect. We do
yeah.
need a stretch five, but when you hear that a prospect like him, who's already had some health injuries, failed the physical, you get a little bit skeptical. You might be like, should I really kick the tires on this one?
No, yeah, that's fair. But that's great. I mean, because Bobo, yeah, like he could play. Like he could score. He could stretch the floor. He could shoot. He could rebound. He could block. I'm like, yo, this man is. Why is he getting no minutes? But then he got to stay healthy.
Geraldine says, salute Sports Vibes TV. Salute to the chat. Oh, is George in the Zion camp? He says Zion is worth the risk. He's a transcendent talent. Very few like him come around. Just got to keep him away from all the New York pizza. I mean, yeah, he's worth the risk once I see he's able to get back on the court. Once I'm able to see that, once I'm able to see a large enough sample size that I can feel like it's not going to be a reoccurring issue, because when we were reviewing Mitchell Robinson and his Jones fracture, I mentioned it's around a 30% reoccurrence rate for that type of injury. So even when he comes back, there is still a risk that he can always re-aggravate that injury. So I'm a little nervous when it comes to building my team around Zion, especially if I'm going to do it with more than just cap space. If you're telling me Zion's a free agent, he's healthy, and all it's going to take is some money, like with Kevin Durant. Well, even though Kevin Durant cost them as D'Lo, but they weren't going to retain D'Lo anyway. But in a situation like that, where all it's going to do is cost me some cap space, then I'd be a little bit more open to it. But you want me to trade the future, in these assets that I have in terms of players and draft capital, and also give him the bag. I'm not going to pay twice.
Nope.
Let's see what else we got going on here. Josh, Uncle Fulio is saying Obi might be the fall guy here. Yeah, I think with this move, it might signal that Obi may be on his way out, because, like you said, I don't know if you said it before we got on or while we were on, that you think the Knicks are going to continue to make moves to try to advance position in the standings. And, I don't think Cam Reddish alone is going to be able to do that. So I definitely think you may see Obi included in another deal to either bring in a point guard, or bring in a stretch five.
Nah. The only reason why I don't see the Knicks giving up Obi is because Obi is clearly the fan favorite. Like this man is clearly the one that he's the people's champion in New York right now.
Clearly, they don't care what the fans think. They move how they want to move. They move in their best interest.
Whereas like yeah, but it's just like look at the way Randall's playing. Like why are we not considering like, all right, Randall, like listen, we gave you the bag, now go to another team.
I mean, it is an option that they
Give him the
trade
Blake
Randall
Griffin treatment. Remember, Clippers signed Blake Griffin to a max, and then
and
halfway
got
into
him
the
out of
next
here.
season, they were like, yeah, no, this ain't it. Like, listen, we can do it too.
I mean, yeah, there is some precedence for it, but I think they're still committed in Julius for the most part. So if they're going to try to
He scored
win,
2 points.
I mean, he scored 2 points, but he also had, I think, 12 rebounds in that game. And then in the following game, he played, he didn't go crazy, but he played a solid game. He was a contributing factor on the team towards a win. So he's been solid, at least in the last game. And I think
Points. Come on,
say it again.
100 mil to score 2 points. Come on, man. Come on.
Listen,
He's lucky we won that game.
yes, he is lucky we won that game. But what have we been saying? We've been saying that Julius Randle is not a superstar player. He's not a number one that's going to take you to a championship. So you understand that there may be games where he's not going to play to the level of a elite player in this league. And you hope those games aren't like what we saw where he only dropped 2 points. But you have to be happy that the Knicks still found a way to get it together and win in spite of his effort. I like the fact that he was able to bounce back and still be able to contribute the following game against the Mavericks, and we blew him out. So that I'll give him kudos for that. But I still think this front office is, and I still think this front office is trying to build around Julius Randle, or build with Julius Randle as a key part on this team. So if they're going to do that and take that route with a coach like Tom Thibodeau, who is an older coach, and maybe on his last contract in the NBA, they're going to need Obi in order to bring in another piece to make this starting lineup take the next step. So that's why I think Obi might be dangled. Even Grimes may be dangled if they're going to get a big enough piece to warrant including him in a deal.
I mean, that's fair.
Because if you look, when I made the video about Miles Turner and Jeremy Grant, I said for us to really move the needle and for it to have a major impact, we got to bring in both. So we didn't bring in Jeremy Grant, but we brought in Cam Reddish. So now that we need another move in order to get us to that level where we can be legit challengers for a higher seed, whether that be the fifth, sixth, try to avoid the play-in altogether. So maybe you still see a deal for Miles Turner, and if you include Obi, that would allow you, I think, to keep Mitchell Robinson, have him come off the bench. I know you're not the biggest Mitchell Robinson fan, but if Mitch comes off the bench, now you're looking at a big man duo of Miles Turner, who gives you rim protection and can stretch the court. And then you've got Mitch coming off the bench who can give you the same rim protection. And we saw in the last game against the Mavs, he can be a beast in the paint as well, even though he lacks any kind of offensive game. So I think that might be the direction this team takes, but it remains to be seen. I just don't think the only move we're gonna make is a trade for Cam Reddish, and that's it.
No, I mean, I definitely feel like we're gonna make a couple more moves because, like we were talking about before the before this whole live,
Hmm.
um, we are clearly at like the 12th seed right now. We're not even in the play-in. So if the only move we made this season was Cam Reddish, we're going to end the season worse off than what we were last season. I don't think the Knicks want that. But I don't know. I feel like the next piece to be moved, if we are going to go for like a Miles Turner sign, it's going to be Mitch. Like, I mean, he has the trade value, and also he has the disgruntled relationship with the Knicks. So if I'm the Knicks, I mean, the one, not even like my biases aside, I would look.
At least you admit it.
Yeah, like
At least you admit it.
I would look to move Mitch because I know that he's enough for other teams to be interested in a trade. And then I'd move like obviously another player just to make the money match or whatever, since Mitch doesn't make that much. But he's an enticing piece. He's like the equivalent to a first round pick for another team, you know. And
Well, I mean,
there's a
the
super
only
chat.
thing I would think is if Mitch was enough to get the deal done, I think we would have had Miles Turner on the squad a long time ago. So that's why I think they might pivot to Obi if they really want to bring Turner in here. But we got a super chat from Evan Best. He says, "How do you guys think we should handle Cam? Should we develop him or use him as trade bait or both?" I think we should keep him and develop him.
Yep.
Unless we are able or presented with a deal that's going to give us, like George had mentioned, a transcendent talent. I think Cam is a solid piece. Coming into the draft, a lot of players viewed Cam as one of the most talented or as the most talented player entering the draft with them. So there's a lot of talent. There's a pretty good skill set when it comes to Cam. He just has to put it all together. And I think we're seeing RJ start to blossom. Maybe Cam and RJ can, rekindle the camaraderie that they had when they were in Duke. And I think Cam, he answers the question that we've been having with the Knicks. We have not had a 6'8", defender with length that can go out there and make it difficult for another team's best perimeter player. And with Cam, I think we have a player that can fill that role. So I would rather keep Cam as opposed to including him in a following trade, unless that trade is for a player who's a superstar, top 10, top 15 in the league.
I mean,
What
listen,
about you, Inf? What would
no,
you do with Cam? You gonna keep
I
him or
agree.
trade him?
No, I would keep him. I feel like at this point he's still a young player who can play defense. He could hit the three. You already said that he's doing career highs right now. I feel like there's no reason for us to even think about like trading him for someone else because, I mean, who is that someone else? You know, who else is out there that can already do what he does because he's already what we're missing. I wouldn't think to trade him.
Yeah.
Just invest. He's a young player.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how he'll look out there. And like I said, we bring him in. It allows us to move RJ back over to the two, which I feel like is a better position for him. It allows him to bully up against smaller guards when he's attacking the paint. And he's doing a pretty good job finishing around the rim. So I think that's a good recipe for this team as we look to build around both, Randall and RJ. I got to mention that as well because RJ's been blossoming in his own right.
No, yeah, someone in the chat was like the Knicks probably made this trade to make sure that RJ's happy, which I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's also the case. They know that they're boys. They know that they already know how to play together. And I mean, listen, RJ just came off of a 30-point game. You definitely want to keep this man happy.
Facts. And we're gonna have to pay him soon too. So hopefully he continues to play like he did, like he has in the last few games. I think they put up the 12 game visual, and he was averaging right around, I think, 24, 25 points over the last 12 games. So hopefully he's continuing to play great, and we'll be able to give him the bag when it's time for him to get an extension.
Yeah, he's consistently playing good when if you're a better like me, his over under for points used to be around like 8.5 or 9.5. Now they up to 18.5. Like more than 18 or less. I'm like, yo, what? But I mean, that's how he's killing.
And with the gambling tip of the day, we got a $2 super chat from Hush Zoo. He says, thoughts on Mo Bamba? Magic want a first for him. I think I said Mamba. Mo Bamba is like a similar situation with Cam. A young player looking for an extension. I don't know. He's about to be a free agent, I think, this season. So I don't know if I'd give the first for him. He definitely fits what we need at the 5, but I don't know if there's a young player I would give up, because if I were to go after Mo Bamba, Knox would have been the player I'd give up. Knox in a second. Take it or leave it. Send him back to Florida with his people out there.
I mean, what about Sims in a second?
That's an intriguing trade. I might do it then. I might do it, because then you'd have what, Mitch started, and then you'd have Bamba come off the bench, because then you'd have your stretch 5 there, huh?
Yeah, and then we would have to just find something to do with Noel.
Because yes, that's another problem when it comes to trading the big. We got to pawn off Noel to somebody. I think Gesundheit. I think I saw a mock trade where for Miles Turner it was going to cost Obi, Nerlens Noel, and a first. That was going to be our way to, huh?
That's too much. Like the first.
Too much. Mm-hmm. So you was just Nerlens Noel and Obi.
If we got it, then yeah. I mean, to me, in my mind, it's just Obi for Miles, because I feel like Noel, he's just thrown in there just to make the money match. Like Noel is interchangeable, like it is what it is. But damn, like I don't want to lose Obi, because I feel like he should be a part of our core. Like he makes it exciting when you actually there at the Garden watching him play.
They're all watching at home. It makes it exciting, but I think if we were going to go for a deal for Turner, it probably cost him. But the thoughts on Bamba, I would go after Bamba. I just don't know if I'd give up the first for him. That's the thing.
I wouldn't give up the first for him. I would want him. Like he's obviously
definitely a talent player.
Like I would do.
There was an area of need.
I would do Sims in a second. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, but thank you, Hush Zoo, for the super chat donation. Russell Brown says now they can go after the Zion, and they can have the famous 3 Duke guys back together again. See, I'd have felt better about it if they actually won, the national championship. But
listen, man, we need to stay far away from Zion. Trust me.
Knicks 100 a game, since we are now a Swift team. I would move IQ. He has the most value, and we can get another wing.
I actually forgot about IQ, to be honest.
Here you go.
No, like I just I didn't even consider him. Like when I'm thinking of who can we potentially trade?
I didn't even think Quick is on your no trade list.
Huh? No. I'm saying as far as when I'm trying to think about roster of who are we willing to trade and who aren't we? I just
subconsciously he's on your no trade list.
No, I just forgot he was even a player. He didn't even register to me. But
man, I'm sleeping on my guy Quick, man. He's developing into a pseudo point guard, depending on who you ask.
Listen, man, we wanted Quick to be the point guard last season. Mm-hmm. I just want him to play like he did last season. Like he's had games here or there where he does his thing, but I definitely think he's an enticing trade piece.
Yeah, definitely. He's found a nice little groove when it comes to scoring. So I hope he can continue to develop that. I've seen him knock down some shots in the mid range. That was something to give him an applause for. So that was probably one of his biggest areas of improvement, I think, heading into the season. You know, tightening up his dribble, getting a little feel for the game in the mid range. So I think he's checked off both of those boxes. And then something that surprised me is the uptick in his defensive intensity. I think that's been great so far. So Quick is definitely a pretty good trade piece, especially at the as him with him being a 25th overall pick.
No, yeah, like
Uh,
I, if I were to trade him, it'd have to be for like Halliburton.
oh yeah, you're a big fan of Halliburton.
I'm not a big fan, but I definitely think Halliburton would be a much better piece on the Knicks than Quickly.
Halliburton holds me down in fantasy, man.
Like, yo, he could play.
He can stuff the stat sheets, that's for sure. So if let's get into the first rounder that we traded a little bit and some of the moves the front office has made. So as you can see, shout out to JD Sports Talk. I pulled this off his Twitter. The first round pick was heavily protected in 2022. We
Hmm.
wouldn't have gotten it unless it fell out of the top 18. And if it fell in the top 18, it would then turn into a 2023 first round pick. But we would only have gotten it if it fell outside of the top 16. If it fell in the top 16, it would have turned into a 2024 first round pick. But we would have only gotten that if it would have fallen outside of the top 14. And if it did fall inside the top 14, it would then turn into two second round picks in 2025. So, like you can see, it's a heavily protected first round pick. So, although we gave up a first, there's no guarantee that it's actually a first round pick that the Hawks will be receiving. So, how do you feel about this move? Us including this pick and not including our own pick with any protections or whatnot.
No, I mean honestly, once I got the information about the pick that we gave up, I didn't care. I'm just like, oh, like so this is it's a whatever pick. I mean, I don't even consider it a first round pick. This is just a who knows what it is. You only know when, like, whenever it happens. So, I mean, now I'm gonna pay attention to like where this pick ends up being though. Like I'm gonna look at what the Hawks, with the Hornets, um, first rounder ends up being this season. And I mean, we'll just go from there. I'm really hoping it turns into two second round picks just so I could feel good. I'll wait till 2020.
I mean, the Hornets have been playing great so far. Well, I won't say great. They've been playing pretty good so far. And right now, I think if everything ended today, I think the pick would be transferred to us. I'd have to double check. But, if the Hawks end up getting this pick, this is not a deep draft. So you're getting a pick outside of the lottery. And I don't think it would be a player that's a game changer. And you look at the potential there is with Cam, him still being a young player. Uh, I think he's still only, what, 21, 22? And he's younger than some of the players that the Knicks targeted in this draft. He's younger than Duarte. Duarte was on our radar, was a player that the Knicks probably would have picked if he was available. Well, Cam Reddish, similar profile, uh, bigger, still a solid defender, can knock down the three. And I think, the fact that all it's going to cost us is Knox and this pick, which for all we know, probably doesn't come due until the 2024 season. I think it's great, a shrewd maneuver by our front office. If it's a few things that I'm not too worried about our front office, it's trades and draft. Those two things, I got no concerns about them. Only concern I have with them right now is free agency and how they spend the bag. That I'm still skeptical when it comes to them.
We got two super chats, but you can go to the first one that was posted.
What, from the New York sports guy?
No, there was one before that.
Let me see. Let's double check. Yeah, the only one I see is the New York Sports. Oh, yeah, I think he said two. He sent two.
Yeah, he did.
We doubled up. Thank you, New York Sports guy, for the support. He says, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, don't get caught up in recency bias. Scared money don't make money. Trade Julius and Evan for Zion. Watch Zion heal up like the Hulk when he gets out of New Orleans. Look, I hope nothing but the best for him. Hopefully he does heal up. But I'm not trading, quote unquote, our engine for a guy that probably doesn't play again this season. Again, probably doesn't play this season. You know what I mean? He's still recovering. He had a slight setback, and right now there's no timetable for his return. Even when I was talking about this to start the season, I said he probably doesn't come back January, I think I said December or January, and it doesn't look like he'll even make that timeline. So I'm a little wary about going all in on Zion right now.
Yeah, like I would need to see like a like what James Harden did. Like basically like he's currently wearing a fat suit, and like once he gets off the plane, he takes the fat suit off, and he's clearly been waiting to get out of New Orleans. Unless that is the case, I just can't trade for him. I
Facts,
can't.
facts. And the other $5 super chat from New York Sports Guy says, y'all want to justify giving up the pick? Drop Cam Reddish in the 2022 draft. Would he get drafted higher than the pick we have up? Exactly. Yep. That's a fact. I don't think I think I said it in the comment section of my video. There's not 18 players that are better than Cam Reddish in this upcoming draft. So solid move by our front office. Also, I want to point out this tweet from Tommy Beard. He says Knicks entered the 2021 draft with the 19th, 21st, and 32nd picks. They managed to turn these three picks into Cam Reddish, Quentin Grimes, Rokas Jokubaitis, and Deuce McBride. That's impressive quality front office work by Leon Rose and company. So great maneuvering by our front office. We've got Cam Reddish, a player that we think can step up into this, step up on this team and become a key piece, part of our core. Quentin Grimes, another player that can knock down the three, play solid defense. Rokas, you guys might not be keeping tabs on him, but he's been playing great for Barcelona. He stepped into the starting role and has been playing great over there so far. Deuce McBride, he's a player. He just dropped up, 39 points for the Westchester Knicks. So we have a bunch of players. Say it again, Ev?
Nah, he could ball. Like, Deuce is nice.
Yeah. So we were able to convey those three picks into players that we see have a legitimate, future with this team. Even Rokas, he could be in the mix when it comes to our point guard answer next season. I don't know if he'll be a starting point guard. I won't go that far, but a backup point guard, I think he can definitely be in the mix of coming over here and joining the team.
I mean, I doubt it only because a lot of the overseas players we end up messing with don't end up working out. Like,
yeah, but Rokas has shown a lot of tools over there that I think that translate well to the NBA. He's a little bit slow. I think he might, I won't say he's a little bit slow. I think he might struggle a little bit with the quickness of the NBA, but I think he has a lot of tools. And also, he was in summer league. I got to watch him when I was over there in Vegas, and he was out there balling the same way, Deuce and then we're out there balling, and he looked good. I think there was one game he had about 3 threes, he had like 9 points. I think that was his last game before he actually left.
I mean, I hope, but I'm just saying, it usually don't work out. Like, we had Kuzmingas, didn't work out. We had who was the dude, Luca Vildoza or something like that last season.
Hey, he got hurt. That don't count. Nah, and he wasn't a drafting stash, so
I'm just saying, like, they don't always. Yeah, I mean, this is unrelated, but somebody in the comments, I guess they was talking about trade for Damian Lillard or whatever the case may be, and somebody said that Lillard right now is requesting $50 million a year contract extension.
Like, and he just, I think, had abdominal surgery, so his return to the season is questionable.
Like, how are you sitting here complaining that your team isn't building around you, but you want all the money? Like, you cannot have both.
Well, listen, maybe he doesn't like Portland, so if you're gonna make me stay in Portland, at least make me a rich man, or make me a richer man.
Oh, so
that's probably the way he's looking at it.
Like, you can't have it. Yeah, so if that's the case, then I don't want to hear him in interviews complaining about the fact that they only won 14 games this season. Like, listen, you wanted the money, you got the money. They don't got no money to build around you. It's you the team. 50 mil, like, that's insane.
Yeah. Also, little fun fact, some people may not know. I want to put it on screen real quick. Give me 1 second. So all three of these guys, RJ, Grimes, Quick, and Cam, they all played in the 2018
cool.
McDonald's All-American game. So there's some familiarity with these players. Also in the game, Quentin Grimes was solid. He's the 4th player on this list. He scored 19 points in the game, had 6 assists. You've got Cam Reddish right under him. He had 11 points and 9 assists in the game. Another thing people don't talk about is Reddish does have the ability to be a facilitator as well. Put the ball on the floor, attack the basket, and find some teammates. I'm not going to say we should run the offense through Cam when he's out there on the court, but he does have that ability. And in this game, where's RJ? Our guy RJ had 25 points in the game.
That's the second time you said a wrong number.
What? It's not 24? Oh, it's 26. Oh, I'm super blind. See? That's why I got you to hold me down.
Even with Grimes, you said 19, but he got 14.
Oh, you see? Chat, now you guys know I need some glasses. One of these days I'm going to get them. That's why I got you holding me down, Imp. And then Quick had 3 points. I'm correct, Imp?
Yeah.
He had 3 points and 8 assists. There we go. That's why we got to have Imp the fact checker around when I'm reading. Oh, man. So, did you know that all 4 of these guys played together on the McDonald's All-American game?
Nah, there's no way I would have ever known that. I've never seen a McDonald's game.
You never? I used to watch them back when they was on ESPN.
Nah. Never have.
Let's see. See, Marshall says, wow, and to say a little. Yeah, there's some names on here. Let's see. Also, we've got 442 in chat, but we only got 105 likes. Can you guys do us a solid? Smash that like button. Get us to at least, try to get to the halfway mark of the people that are in chat. Let's see.
Knicks 100, a GM said, told your IQ trash. Come on, man. Come on. You can't believe that, man.
What happened?
None.
Who said that? Knicks 100 a game?
Yeah. Yo.
All right, let me see.
Canal
I'm trying to put on.
Canal Band said, is a Ben Simmons deal likely?
I don't think so. I think they had a meeting between Ben's camp and also the 76ers, and they're still stuck at an impasse. So, me personally, I don't think they're actually going to get any deal done. And I don't see him coming to the Knicks for us to play them 4 times a year. I would assume they try to send him to the Western Conference, if anything.
Maybe, but I would take Ben. The only thing.
Ben's your guy?
No, I ain't gonna go that far. But the only thing is that, I don't know. I feel like his style of play and Randall's would clash. Just because Randall likes to be point forward out of nowhere throughout the game.
I don't think we'd have both of them. So if Derek said I should go over to JD's Twitter and talk about Cam Reddish and his defense, I think that's probably where Cam will have some of his biggest impact on the defensive end, especially as a replacement over Evan. Because, like I said, Evan has come alive, I think, offensively, and he's also gets you some timely steals. I got to give him that as well. But Cam, when you look at his physical profile and what he's able to do out there on the court and how he's able to be a pest, we've never really had a legitimate defensive stopper. So I think Cam could develop into that under Tom Thibodeau. So what are you looking for when it comes to Cam and his defense out there on the court?
No, I'm just looking for literally any slight improvement over Evan Fournier. That way he could steal the starting spot.
Yeah. Hopefully he's able to. I think you look at this team, defense was an issue, and I think the moves that we've made since have helped us. I also want to see what Ryan A is going to do as the point guard, because even if we don't see Cam as the starter, he'll probably spend some minutes out there with Ryan A. So Ryan A gets some minutes. Seems like Deuce is still in the gulag, and I would like to see how those two play out there on the court.
No, I agree. One thing that got me annoyed about the Hawks, that obviously during the offseason, the main player I wanted us to sign was John Collins. But then the Hawks go and give him this stupid contract, and now they're talking about, he's available for trade.
Yeah, I'm not trading him. I'm not trading for him with that contract.
You made him untradeable by giving him that money. Ridiculous. That got me so mad. I'm like, yo, for all that, you should have just let him walk.
Facts.
But now all of a sudden, everyone's untouchable but Trey and Capella. I mean, everybody's available except Trey and Capella. Which, I mean, Capella, really? Why? Like he's an okay big man, but
I also think there's a clause in his contract that might make it hard to move him.
if that's
I think I had read that somewhere as well.
But I wouldn't look at Capella as like you untouchable. I mean, it's not like he's in the prime of his youth. He's not.
True. I mean, it adds a little bit, or it gives a little bit of support as to why the Rockets didn't really want to give him the bag. They didn't think they would be able to go far with him as their starting center.
I mean, but that's more because their style of play.
Yeah, true.
Small ball, check threes.
True.
And no, I would not trade Randall for Collins. That's just no, I wouldn't do that.
I think that's a downgrade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not the biggest Julius Randle fan, but I can't argue against the impact he has out there on the court, especially when he's, you know, firing on all cylinders. We just got to help get him back to that point where he's playing like that more consistently.
Yep.
And if he's not going to play, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I only wanted John Collins to play the 5. Like, I wanted him to be the stretch alongside Randall because I feel like their styles of play can actually coexist. I wouldn't give one up for the other.
You know, a cheaper player that might fit that mold would be Christian Wood. You can try and go out there and get him from Houston.
It's just the injuries, man.
Yeah, that and the fact that, you know, him saying he's not going into a game. You don't like those kind of stories.
A lot of the attitude and all that. Like, I don't know. The Rockets are dealing with a mess right now.
Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you have a lot of young guys and no veteran presence. I mean, a lot of people get upset that we have a lot of vets, but I think, you know, vets are needed on the team. We get upset because you're playing Taj twice as many minutes as Obi. We just need Taj in the locker room to keep things in line when things go awry. We don't need them to take the bulk of the minutes, which is what we've seen sometimes with Burks and you know, with Fournier, you know. But so is the NBA.
Oh, man.
Let's see. Duke the Don is talking about Bobo. Yeah, they axed that trade. And if you think the Knicks should go after him, I'd be a little hesitant because if they already saying he's not passing physicals, you start to question what is the actual issue, and is it something you want to get involved in?
Mm-hmm. Marvin Smith said, "Would you trade for Kevin Porter?" I mean, I would. I would trade a 2nd-round pick for him, and that's it.
I don't know, man. Another blow up in another team. You know, if it happened in one place.
Look at what you said, though. They don't got no veteran presence. We do. We have a ton of it, and we got Tibbs. We got structures. New York. You can't be doing all that.
I hear you, but sometimes you have wild cards that even with a veteran presence, it really is not going to be good enough. Honestly, you know, you look at Dennis Rodman, they had a veteran presence, and Rodman, his impact on the court, it allowed you to say, all right, we'll look past some of the things he's doing and just sweep it under the rug. But with KPJ, there's a lot of potential, but is he doing enough out there on the court that would allow you to say, all right, we'll take the baggage and deal with it because he's out there putting up big numbers? And I don't think he's doing that. I don't know if he'll be able to do that. So I wouldn't risk bringing him into our locker room and potentially running it, you know, running wild in the locker room. Look at Wood. I don't think Wood was a malcontent in other locker rooms, but now we're seeing him starting to lash out against the coaching staff. So, you know, I can't say that's because of KPJ, but sometimes you have somebody as a running mate, you get a little bit more confidence.
I mean, that's fair. I don't know. I just feel like with the players that we currently have on our team, things would just go different. Like, I could see Kevin Porter trying to get crazy, and then Randall just shutting that joint down. Like, yo, this ain't even your team, you know. Like, and then at that point, what do you say?
I don't view Randall as that kind of guy. I view Randall as more of a quiet, keeps to himself type of individual. At least that's how it's reported by the New York media, for the most part.
I mean, I don't know. And that's one of those things I guess that we'll never know. But I would trade a 2nd round. I feel like a 2nd round is fine. It's not that big of a risk. I wouldn't be too worried about him acting crazy in New York. I feel like it's different out here. I feel like he could do that on the Rockets because, I mean, who's going to tell – who's their coach, Mike D'Antoni? Like, I mean, who's going to say that? Like, who's paying attention to the Rockets this season? They're the worst team.
I hear you. But all right, if we'll end it there.
All right, cool.
All right. Also, SB Nation, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys smashed that like button for us. You got us up to 151 likes, so that's like 50
Oh,
likes
dope.
in like 3 or 4 minutes. So thank you guys for holding us down. We appreciate the support. Thank you to George also for pulling up in chat, chopping it up. Also, thank you guys to all of the mods. I see we've got Big Task in the building, Lex the Destroyer. Thank you guys for holding it down and keeping us in line with the conversation. I keep telling you guys all the time, you are the third co-host here on Sports Vibes TV, and for the pregame, you guys are the fourth co-host. So once again, if anything to say before we leave?
Just is this comment real? Because it can't be.
Well,
Breaking news,
no, no.
No, the
Say
Carl
it
Anthony
again. Who?
Carl Anthony Towns has been traded to the Hawks for John Collins, Jalen Johnson, and 2 first-round picks.
No way. That's probably why they sold Cam so cheap. They just needed the first. There's no way.
I gotta look it up because there's no way.
Yeah, chat. Give us 1 second because we gotta confirm this.
Yeah, I gotta verify. Hold on. This is about to be breaking news.
I'm on a computer. Why am I on my phone? Let's go to Twitter. Also, if you're not following, make sure you follow the channel at Sports Vibes TV on Twitter. It'd be greatly appreciated.
No, I'm not seeing nothing yet. I ain't seeing nothing.
Nothing on Woj?
Nah,
all right.
I'm on Bleacher Report. I'm not seeing nothing.
Nah, you gotta go to the source. You gotta go to Woj. Where's Woj?
I do see a report that nothing.
No, I see Malcolm Hill on a 10-day contract. No, nothing. All right, so that might have been a false alarm, but
that would have been crazy.
That would have, right?
Yeah,
had me gassed.
That would have been good for Minnesota.
I don't know about all that.
I do. We'll what? They already got Ant. They got D'Lo, adding John Collins. Like they could be fast paced now. Like they can actually play good. Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all your support. Once again, I'm Keith, host of Sports Vibes TV. That's my guy, Inf, one of the contributors